Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
Walking on some of the same streets where people like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin all were. And there are so many stories about these people in the area. It's such an old historic area. But one thing I want to tell you about right away is going to come up again and again on this tour. It's the year 1793. Now that was the year of the yellow fever, the largest yellow fever epidemic in this city. That really devastated the city, really changed the city. At that time, Philadelphia was actually the largest city in the whole of the United States. But in the last few months of 1793, out of almost 50,000 people living here, 5,000 roughly died of yellow fever. 20,000 people on top of that fled the city seeking their own safety. Now, no one knew how the disease was spread, no one knew how to stop it. That made people very paranoid. They would cross the street to avoid each other. There are written accounts of parents casting their children out in the street and vice versa when people showed the first sign of sickness because they were so worried that they would be dead. And I bring that up right away and tell you all about it because it is going to come up several times in this tour. We'll see places where victims of the yellow fever lived, places where they died, and also places where they were buried. And so when you start to think about the stories here tonight, different things people have seen, this is one of the things that we'll see in this particular area, why there may be so many stories here. Now, on top of that, it is just a very historic place. So when you walk on these streets, you are following in the footsteps of many of our founding fathers, but you're also walking amongst their ghosts, many ghosts we have here in Philadelphia. So tonight we'll be exploring a different side of this historic place, a place where things do go bump in the night, where spirits roam in the dark, and you never know what may be lurking just around the corner. But before we go to our first stop, I have just a few things to tell you about. The first is we're a relatively large group tonight, and we'll have some more folks joining us shortly. There's no rush to make it all the way across the street. I'll wait for people on the other side, so be safe. Also, especially later on the tour, but out here as well, there's a lot of old sidewalks, and in places the pavement is very uneven, so please watch your step as we walk around. With that out of the way, I'll take you right to our first stop. You all follow me out of the garden this way.
Okay.
Right behind me is Library Hall, and it currently holds the library of the American Philosophical Society, which got its start in part with the help of Benjamin Franklin. So there's a lot of stories about Benjamin Franklin and his spirit associated with this building. Some of the books that he owned personally are now kept inside of this building. Now, these stories aren't new. They go back over 100 years, and we do have one written account from that time. This appeared in the newspaper in the 1880s. So there was a woman who used to clean this building. She would come every morning along with her daughter, and they said that they would actually see this same spirit appear on multiple occasions. And they actually got used to his presence,
He appeared fairly regularly and was very calm and didn't give them any trouble. But they did have one day when things happened differently. This time when he appeared, he was carrying a large stack of books, and they could tell that there was something different about him. He looked kind of agitated. Something just felt different about him. And he started rushing directly towards the set of shelves where the daughter was busy cleaning. So she sees him coming towards her, but she isn't able to get out of his way. And when he bumped into her, he knocked her all the way to the ground. The violence of that really shocked the two of them. They had seen the same spirit here multiple times before, and he had never done anything like this. So in the end, because the mother was well known and well connected throughout the town, she had a great reputation, they interviewed her and printed her story in the newspaper, which is how we know about it today. Since then, people have continued to see apparitions inside of this building, often accompanied by plummeting temperatures. There are also stories of Benjamin Franklin's spirit all throughout this area. Another thing as well, on the far side of this building, right above the door, there's a statue of Benjamin Franklin, and there's stories about that statue as well. People say they've seen it walking down the street in the middle of the night. So this is an area with a lot of history, and that means there are a lot of ghost stories told about this area connected to Benjamin Franklin and people like that. As we get further onto our tour, I encourage you all to take lots of pictures. You never know just what might turn up, or if you'll be the next person with a story to tell. We'll continue on this way. Independence Hall. It's a very well-known historical building, one of the, I think, most recognizable buildings in American history. And beyond its historic nature, it also has this reputation for being haunted as well. Many stories told here over the years. These days there are security guards and park rangers here 24/7, watching over the building, keeping it safe. And inside the building they have security cameras, motion detectors as well. But you have to wonder how effective all these measures can be in detecting any spirits that might be wandering around inside Independence Hall. And we've collected a number of stories from people that have worked here over the years of the strange things they've encountered during their time here. Now, the first story I want to share with you all was told to us by a security guard. And it was his job to lock up Independence Hall after all of the visitors had gone home for the evening. So one night he was just about to lock up and head outside when all of a sudden he hears a noise coming from the top floor of the building. He's not sure exactly what the noise could be. As far as he knows, he's the only one inside the building. He thinks maybe he missed somebody and there's still someone walking around upstairs. So he goes to the top of the stairs to take a look. Right through the window above the door, you can see roughly where he was standing. And while he's standing in that spot, he stands there for a short time and looks all around. He can't see anybody up there with him, but he has this feeling like he's not alone. Now there's a sound coming from right in front of him. It's definitely footsteps moving along the floor. There's also a strange smell in the air, old, musty, a chill that runs down his arm. And then something starts to appear in front of him, floating in the air, just a few feet in front of his face. First, it just hangs there like a shapeless cloud in the air, like a ball of smoke. But then it turns and twists. It forms a head, shoulders, a torso, all the way down to its legs. And he's staring at this thing that has appeared right in front of him, finding it hard to move. It feels like his feet are stuck to the ground, like his eyes are being held open as he watches this thing in front of him. Now, he doesn't know how much time passes, but finally it turns back into smoke and disappears right back into the air. And it's only at that point that he's able to move again. And he runs down the stairs and he starts to recover his breath. He starts to think about what it was that he saw. He wonders how he could explain this encounter to somebody else, not just in a way that they would believe him, but explain it to them in a way that they'd know exactly what it felt like for him in that moment, because it was something he'd never experienced before, and that feeling that he had, he thought was very hard to explain. Here as well. And there are two stories I know about this area. One of them is about this particular cemetery. Folks have seen a spirit here a man average height, a little bit portly, wandering around the cemetery on several different occasions. Nobody knows exactly whose spirit it might be, but they have seen him here from time to time. Now, the other story about this area is more of a local legend. It's a story about a house further down Pine Street on the left. And the story about this house is that it became known for being haunted, and throughout most of the 1800s, it was empty for that reason. People were so frightened of the stories they heard about this house, they didn't want to buy the house and have to live in it. Finally, towards the end of that century, a woman named Betsy Bassett decided that she wasn't frightened by all of the stories. She purchased the house and she moved right in. But she quickly began to have problems in this house, and she wasn't sure if she made the right decision. She would hear strange noises in the house, especially at night. That's when she would hear the loudest sounds, groans and creaks and cries. And she would wake up in the morning sometimes to find her blankets, her sheets, her pillows flung to the far side of the room. So as the activity in the house got worse and worse, she didn't know what to do. She didn't know if she was going to be able to continue to live there. But she went and she found a man who was an expert in voodoo. And she told him all of the things that she'd seen happening in her house and asked him to come and help her out. So he came to the house and he performed a ritual there. He said whatever was in the house was very powerful, and he wasn't able to get rid of the spirit entirely. All he could do was get the spirit to leave the house. That was fine for Betsy Bassett. She was able to live in that house without any more real issues for the rest of her days. But that's when you start to hear stories outside of the house, on that stretch of street where she used to live. People would be walking along the sidewalk, suddenly they'd come face to face with this strange old woman who would disappear just as quickly. Or they'd hear the sound of a cane tapping along behind them and they'd turn to look, only to find that there was nobody there. So all of the activity in that area, these things, they are associated with her. They call her the Hag of Pine Street.
It's all right now, guys, so we're going to be walking around and going on the inside.
I ask you, if you're in the front row, do not put your knees between these balusters. Okay? But you're still free to lean against the bar, but do not put your knees between those balusters. Okay, I want to welcome you to Independence Hall. This building, they started to construct this in 1732 as a state house for the colony of Pennsylvania. They finished the tower in 1750. They were ready for a bell. They ordered a bell to go in that. They called that the State House Bell at the time. But now this is Independence Hall. Now that's the Liberty Bell. This building was designed in what's called the Georgian style. Balanced, bit detailed. Symmetry is very important. I asked one young lady on the way in to count how many windows she saw on the first floor between the door and the end of the building here. How many windows did you see from the outside? How many do you see now?
Three.
Three. So where do you think the other one is?
And on the in the panel.
Right, behind there, it's in the corner. And they did that because on the outside you have very nice balanced facade, 4 windows on either side of the door. But when you built the building, they didn't need another window there in the corner. It wouldn't have served any purpose. So they just eliminated it from the inside. Right. That's a door, and this does not have any knob or lock on it. This courtroom exemplifies the rights that the colonists held very dearly. As British subjects, they could exercise English common law. They took that very seriously. They wanted to make sure they did a good job. The way the courtroom was set up back then is similar to our courtrooms today, even though this is set up as if the Supreme Court of the Colony of Pennsylvania were here. Let's say this is just a civil or criminal trial. You should have one judge up in the front. So the judge's bench is there. They would listen to the testimony of the person who's giving the witness over there giving testimony. The prosecuting and defense lawyers sat together at this table. Who would have been here? Okay, person on trial, the person accused. Is that person innocent or guilty? Guilty. Okay, under English common law and under our system today in America, someone is innocent until proven guilty. And this prisoner's dock we don't use anymore because this does send a bit of a subtle message, doesn't it? Maybe we want to free judge the case. Actually, they're going to rely on the decision of the jury. The 12 men in that jury box are the ones who would decide the guilt or innocence of the person here. The idea that the colonists could exercise the right to trial by jury was something they held very dearly. In the Declaration of Independence, there are 27 complaints against the king and parliament, rights that had been denied the colonists. In that list, right in the middle, is the complaint that the colonists were often taxed without their consent. Right next to that is the complaint that often they were denied the right to trial by jury. So that was something that the colonists held very dearly. They wanted to maintain that right. Before we leave this room, do you have any questions? Yeah. Called the Assembly Room. The Colony of Pennsylvania had an assembly or legislature. This room was borrowed by representatives from the colonies when they met here. Now, what's today's date?
May 10th.
May 10th.
May 10th, 20.
On this date in 1775, the Continental Congress here convened. Representatives from the colonies came here. They tried to figure out what to do. We'd already fought the battles of Lexington and Concord, but they weren't quite sure what kinds of steps to take. It wasn't until the winter of 1775, 1776, a man named Thomas Paine wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense. And in it he said it made no sense for these colonies to be ruled by a king, especially one 3,000 miles away. That actually they could be independent. So that idea gained momentum. And they're going to actually take a vote on that issue on July 2nd. Now, July 2nd is a day I think we should consider our national holiday. On July 2nd, they're ready to take a vote, and this is where we think the Pennsylvania delegation sat. Now, two of the men in that painting for the Constitution were also here for the Declaration. One of them was Benjamin Franklin, the other one was Robert Morris. Now, when the Pennsylvania delegation was here, Robert Morris abstained on July 2nd. He was not in the room.